Digital's Tech Studio series, which is going to focus on AI jobs of the future. We shall start in another 30 seconds. Let's give some time for the participants to stream into the session and for the panelists to get set. Anmol, are you ready to go live?
Yes, Sriram, can you tell me if I'm still cracking up or it's okay?
This is perfect, Anmol. Thank you.
Okay, I switched the network, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you very much for joining in. We have participants today joining us from India, Singapore, Malaysia, UAE, and across other parts of the world too. And we have panelists too, not just in one region. We have Rajiv Menon joining us from Chennai in India, Ravi Kumar Bhatta joining us from Singapore, Sujit Nair joining us from Dubai, and Anmol Jain, right now in the US, but originally based in Sydney. And thank you, Anmol. It's 2 a.m. in the morning. Really appreciate your commitment to join us. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sriram Iyer. I'm going to be your host and moderator for today's session. I would really like it to be as interactive as possible. So please feel free to share in your comments, thoughts, perspectives, insights in the chat function. If you have specific questions, use the Q&A functionality in the Zoom window. Today, we are clearly at a stage where AI is no more just the Gartner hype cycle stage. We are into what is called as AI being a reality at this point of time. Even now, I still ask people, do you use AI extensively? They say, yes, I use AI extensively. And they say, I use ChatGPT all the time. Well, AI is much beyond just ChatGPT. AI is now getting applied across the entire candidate life cycle, employee life cycle, and the software development life cycle. So today we are going to be focusing on how AI essentially is disrupting the traditional IT services, technology services gameplay. And that's where we have four experts joining us. We have Rajiv Menon, who's the global head for talent solutions at LTM, formerly LTI Mindtree. Thank you, Rajiv, for joining us. We have Ravi Kumar Bhatta with extensive both IT services and the product experience. He leads the APAC partnerships at Google and is based out of Singapore. We have Anmol Jain, who's the managing partner and the company director for Asia Pacific at Infosys Consulting. Thank you, Anmol. And finally, we have Sujit Nair, who's the head of fulfillment and talent acquisition of Wipro across Asia Pacific and the Middle East region, joining us from Dubai. Thank you very much for joining in. I'm very pleased to be anchoring this session. Just a quick intro about myself. I have about 28 years of practitioner experience. I would like to call myself a pracademic, a practitioner, an academic experience. Along with the practitioner aspects, I also teach at NUS Business School, at Conferry Academy in Singapore, at XLRI in India, and also at SP Jain School of Global Management in Dubai. Try to bring in the practitioner perspective into the academic world and trying to bring theoretical aspects into the practitioner world, trying to make both come together. That's a quick intro about myself. Over the next 45-50 minutes, we are going to be talking about how AI essentially used to be something which is scarce and sparsely heard. Today, AI is the most commonly used term, one of the commonly used terms as per the last year's stats also. Most of the tech services gameplay was focused on coding scarcity, and essentially it was all focused on, hey, can we have a lot more hands and minds to write the code, right, to put together the code, right from business analyst to do the requirements gathering, to the solution architect role, to the pre-sales, to having to literally write the thousands of lines of code that we talk about. And then we had the testers, manual testers, and automation testers. Then you have the infrastructure specialists, so on and so forth. So the entire technology services gameplay was focused on coding scarcity. And but right now we are moving to an era which is a completely different operating system. It's about all about coding abundance, right? With AI agents actually helping in lines of code. I'm sure many of you in the call have developed your own applications using AI Studio or a Copilot Studio or a Lovable.dev or NA10 or 11 Labs. I'm sure all of you have been creating various apps yourself, right? So the entire application development segment has been disrupted, has been democratized, right? Now, some of these slides that I'm showcasing to you are actually from a fantastic webinar, which was recently organized by Newsweek. This featured Francisco D'Souza, the former CEO of Cognizant, and Ranjit Tunaikar, the former CEO of Nest Digital. And this webinar is actually was inspired by that particular webinar. Now, today we are living in what we call as a delight for the IT services organizations, for the simple reason the cost of creating a code or the cost of the input is dramatically dropping. Whereas the value of the output, and that's where the term certainty is really gaining a lot of prominence across the IT world, right? Clients are saying, hey, look, coding can be done, but I need certainty. And that can be only provided by the organizations, right? So what we are seeing is the value of the output is dramatically higher, is going up, whereas the cost of the input is dropping. And that's what is called as the certainty premium. So the more you are able to drive down the cost of the input and increase the value of the output, organizations are definitely going to benefit immensely. And that's the certainty premium that companies are charging today. So it's no more labor arbitrage, right? It's very clearly the certainty premium that that clients are ready to pay for, right? And what is today happening is when we look at the application of AI in software development lifecycle, it used to be curiosity. Then people started becoming aware of what needs to be done. But it doesn't stop at adoption. The future is definitely going to be AI orchestration. What does that mean? When you have multiple algorithms, agents, chatbots in the organization, you need to be an AI orchestrator, essentially. And that's where the term orchestration. So people, folks have started moving away from curiosity and awareness to a lot more to adoption and orchestration. Developers and testers and all the IT professionals have started using AI extensively in their course of day-to-day work. But what is more important is, right, we cannot skip any webinar without talking about a McKinsey data point, right? McKinsey very clearly has said that $4.4 trillion is the value that essentially organizations can unlock by leveraging AI. And that could actually increase the annual productivity growth rate between 0.5 to 3.4. These are mind-boggling numbers that we are talking about, right? And that's where I have 4 or 5 questions, and that's it. You're not going to hear me talk anymore. I'm going to have the panelists here talk to you. And while I direct the question to each of the panelists, maybe Anmol, Rajiv, Ravi, and Sujit, you could start off giving a quick background about yourself and your perspectives on this entire gameplay before answering the question. But the first question that I want to ask all the parties, all the panelists is this, right? Now, across the IT life cycle, today we are not just talking about how AI is being used to develop things faster. We want to see how AI is changing the way work is being done, how the talent pyramid is getting affected, how the roles are getting changed, so on and so forth. Now, I want to ask this question to all of you, right? How is the entire code review, testing strategy, your operational aspects, how is it getting changed in your organization, in your industry, as you see with the accelerated adoption of AI? And engineers are no more spending time writing code, or they are not just summarizing things, but they are starting to use it for more architecture, integration, and problem solving. Really wanted to set the context by asking each one of you, how is AI essentially changing the nature of the business in your organization and across? Let me start off with Anmol.
Thank you, Shriram. Thank you for covering the key aspects as you explained. I hope I'm audible, Shriram. Just
Yes,
sign.
loud
Yeah.
and clear.
Excellent, excellent. No, I think this is a very interesting point you talked about how AI is changing the nature of work within IT lifecycle. I would say, while there is a lot of hype, the reality is AI is getting slowly embedded into the entire IT lifecycle, not just life cycle. While we may say, and I'm just starting because I want to make sure people do not underestimate this whole thing about making things faster. Right, the productivity unlock is massive. First, let's unpack that. In an IT world, if you look at the silos that always exist, you have a developer, then you have unit testers, which is mainly developer, then it goes to a testing team, then there's an integration team, then there's a system integration testing, there's a deployment team. So there are a lot of silos, and there have been handoff that have always existed. So what AI has been able to do is created an integrated model where AI is getting embedded into all of these. Right, you talk about testing in particular. Of course, let's start from development, or let's go one step further. Is the design itself, the requirement capture itself is now with generational AI, and specifically with very contextual models, as cloud has launched, or even OpenAI is launching, and some organizations have built small language models, which are very contextual in nature, wherein you put a problem and it is able to give you requirement specs, right? And then you have a human who's able to validate. So that is one, right? Now you may say this is doing things faster, but actually it is not just doing things faster. It is also creating standardization. It is making sure that you do not miss out things which you normally might have. And then you put your organization context on top and make sure it is applicable, right? So this is not just the speed, but the ability for you to cover different aspects, and different teams have the same standardization. Then you go to development. Of course, everybody is using vibe coding or tools that are available, that makes their, again, not only things faster, but quite robust within the security framework and so on. Then you go to testers, and we have unlocked massive productivity within testing, and not only for ourselves but also for our customers. Okay, we have launched something called as AI helpers, where we are creating a digital twin of a test manager or a tester, which is able to work as well as the testing team itself, and therefore creating an augmentation. So you are actually reducing the overall effort required, not just the speed or the velocity that you mentioned, right? And then creating those integration touch points, and finally deploying the product through AI. Is not used so much in deployment, but there's a lot of automation that is used, traditional AI, not generational AI or agentic AI, that is used, right? So the whole cycle has gone into this, right? And there is another thing you talked about in between was AI adoption. You had awareness, adoption, all of that, right? Curiosity, awareness, adoption, and orchestration. Adoption has a very big element called communication. And what we have done is, in a large organization in particular, you have a lot of communication that is going to multiple stakeholders before you are able to deploy a code, deploy a change, move things from into production, or even go live. And now that takes at times months. You have a go no go criteria, you have really strict toll gates and governance processes, etc. 8 to 9 member team working for weeks preparing this communication. Communication goes out, and then you have a cycle where you go no go. We have actually deployed at a client in Singapore, where we are able to move those 6 weeks content creation, content generation, broadcast approval to 30 minutes. Right, so we're looking at historical data and saying what is the communication really required. Of course, first year was not there, but using that first year data, we were able to do that. So the applicability of AI across the entire life cycle is very high, which unlocks productivity, gives effort back, creates standardization, and helps in moving through initiatives which otherwise would not be possible. So I can go on, but I'll take a pause here and maybe I'll cover in the next set of questions. I have something else that I can talk about, but I hope it covers the aspect that you were expecting from me.
Abs- Absolutely. The tremendous productivity unlock, the silos getting broken, the AI helpers that you are talking about. Perfect start to the conversation. Anmol, I'm going to sneak in a question that has come from the participant here, Shreya Maheshwari. Shreya is asking, hey, hi Anmol sir, when CIOs come to you in 2026, what's the single biggest workforce question they are asking that they weren't asking a year ago? I think that's very pertinent, right? You must be definitely seeing something new that is being asked by your client CIOs.
Yeah, I think we have been teasing our customers for last 12 months to 18 months about getting their workforce ready, right? Getting their talent ready. And I think now customers are realizing that the use cases for AI are real. They're getting budget approvals. They need to show productivity, but the talent is legacy in the organization, right? They've
Mm.
not spent enough effort on the talent part from a workforce standpoint. Now the easiest option for them is to get rid of the entire talent that they have and hire new, but that's not easy, right? There's only so much talent available in the market.
That's
So
right.
I have particularly been talking to customers and asking them to look at talent fulfillment through upliftment. Okay,
Okay.
don't look at your talent today and look at hiring new talent. That does not exist in the market. Let's be honest about it, right? But there are learning pathways we can create. We can have capstone projects. Not everybody would have the aptitude to get into the new world, but I think with the 50-60% of workforce should be able to uplift while we hire in new roles. So I think that is one question which is very pertinent. And the second question is, what is future roles? What is the org design that will happen? What are the roles that we really need to hire? What are the organizational hierarchy we need to build and around that? So those are the two main questions which we are grappling with since last 4 5 months with our CIOs.
Fantastic, Anmol. And those are the questions that we will ask all of you in the subsequent questions. I hope Shreya's question has been answered. Thank you very much, Anmol. Rajiv, I move on to you, Rajiv. You've been a veteran in the industry and you have definitely seen how the game has changed, right? How has the game changed in an IT scenario from a software development life cycle and the way IT is getting done in your organizations?
I think you already outlined what was happening from a delivery standpoint, right? What exactly customers are looking at, what is the expectation of our customers. A few things have changed. The big question, obviously, everybody is asking is that will AI replace humans? Which I don't think is going to happen, right? Probably somebody using AI will replace a person who's not using AI. But the point is, one of the things what we're clearly seeing is the in the past we used to have long transition cycles, right? By the when you win a deal and then you put this whole team together and then you have discussions around it as to how you're going to go about doing the transition and then finally going on to delivery, right? Today, transition timelines have shrunk. There's no question. There's nothing called transition in the first place, by the way. So the customer's expectation is very simple, right? Hey, here's what it is, and how quickly can you move? It is lift and shift and move quickly, right? So in terms of the delivery models, everybody wants to get up and run as quickly as possible because, and I think that is what AI is doing today, right? As I said earlier, we had to put the teams together, which is not required at this point in time because a lot of it is being supported by the agents, be it autonomous agents, emergent agents, whatever be the case, right? And whatever is available in the market as well. So I think the basic framework in terms of what possibly the delivery teams are looking at is in place. It's only about how do you manage and orchestrate this whole thing coming together. And I think that is the biggest challenge that all of us are facing right now. But teams are coming together, and as Anmol pointed out, we're breaking down silos. Earlier, there was a handover, takeover. Nothing of that sort happens. Everybody works in tandem. We've been trying to do this breaking down of the silos forever, but I think AI is enabling us to do that, right? And at the same time, I think what we are also seeing is the fact that Our customers today are expecting us to be a lot more be accountable and responsible, right? While
Fantastic.
all these changes are happening, right? At the end of the day, the question that is being asked is who's responsible for all this? While we understand agents coming together, working together, right? And where is the governance of all this? So I think that's the big shift that's happening as far as the service organizations are concerned. We relied largely on a huge workforce, but today, yes, we are upskilling our workforce, whatever be that. But I think businesses are today asking us, where is accountability and governance in terms of whatever that you're doing? And I think that's the big part that all of us will have to address, and that's getting addressed as well.
Thank you, Rajiv. I think you've really articulated on how do we essentially manage and orchestrate this gameplay and essentially bringing in the certainty and the value gameplay into the thing, right? Whose responsibility, who's owning the governance? That's where the lot more thought process rather than trying to see, can you write the code or create the app? Okay.
That's
Now,
right.
what I will do is I'll shift to the next question, and I come straight to Ravi on this. So, Ravi, I mean, one of the key aspects that people in this call, right? We have people joining in through Zoom, through YouTube, through LinkedIn Live. We have hundreds of people joining in from different parts of the region, right? So the question to you is this, right? What do you think is the foundational aspect if someone were to enter the IT segment as as an employee, or they are already in the tech sector, right? Already in the tech sector, tech segment. If they really need to embark on the AI ML gameplay, what do you think is the foundational AI capability they should have? So it's a very tough question. If you want, you can take very specific examples, but over to you, Ravi.
Sure. Thanks, Sriram. Thanks for this opportunity uh, to talk today. See, I think one of the most common, I mean, I won't call it a mistake, but the most common starting point that many people look at it is what are the kind of tools that we are using? Because when it comes to AI, I think there are multiple tools that are available in the market with a little bit of hallucination here and there. I think most of them will give good results, and as the models learn, right? See, in my opinion, I think the real entry point, irrespective of experience or even coming fresh, is trying to understand how the AI systems are thinking and understand a little more on the prompt engineering. See, the results of any of these solutions or the systems is how you are giving the context, how you are setting up the constraints, and how you are building the feedback loop, right? I think you asked the question on how the things are changing, and what people need to know in the previous question. I think understanding this in terms of the skill is not about writing anymore, right? Obviously, creating that context window and giving the constraints so that the AI solution actually works on what you are giving and give you the output, right? And the next important thing, I mean, in terms of actually the skills, right, after the entry point, is also understanding the AI output. When I say AI output, it's not what it actually is given, but how do you assess it? Because as you keep doing it, AI can give you very confidently a wrong information, but that could be subtle. There is a hallucination, there is a bias. So all of that we need to understand a little bit, and those are probably some of the skills that people would need to pick up. I mean, if I just have to give you an example, if you go to Google search today, and then you search for something, you are actually not trying to validate whether that information is accurate or not, right? Because you think what search is giving is accurate.
That's right.
I mean, hand on heart, anything with AI today, obviously people would still want to validate that information. I think that kind of understanding and what we need to do, because that all is a function of the constraints that you are doing, the governance you are putting it, and the context, the prompt engineering that you are doing it, right? So I think those are in my opinion, people needs to do. And if I probably expand this to the coding part, um, the coding tools, I think, is probably has become table stakes in the last 3-4 months, right? So
Yes.
it's no more the tools, but the real upskill is about the whole agentic workflow. How do you have agents talk to agents? How do you architect the system that handles the multi-step, including human in the loop? So in my opinion, those are the key things that people needs to look at it as they start their journey, Sriram.
Fantastic, Ravi. Thank you for that. It's not just prompt engineering, it's more context engineering. And what you rightly highlighted was it's not just about prompting, understanding the data, context constraints behind it to ensure that you are able to validate the output much better, right? Thank you, Ravi.
So
Ravi, I'm
just
going to, sorry, go ahead.
I just want to add one point. I mean, while Ravi did outline, in terms of what exactly is the entry point,
Yes.
what is also going to be extremely critical from an entry point for somebody to get into this space is also in terms of deep domain knowledge,
Okay.
right? See, I think that is going to be the differentiator, because as coding is democratized today, anybody can write a code. But if you don't, and that's the context part that you was talking about, and I think the domain is going to play a very, very important role here. Now, for example, somebody is from BFS, understanding, let's say, our capital markets or in investment banking, right? Or from a retail standpoint, how do you the four P's of marketing, if you really were to look at it from that standpoint, right? How do you position a product, right? And therefore, using that knowledge to build an agent, to write a code, whatever be that. So I think the entry point for everybody today would be, how do I get specialized in a particular domain? And that is going to play a very, very important role.
Fantastic. The domain part of it is going to be really important. Thanks, Rajiv, for bringing in that in. Ravi, there's a question from Shreya, and we have a question from Midun and Shreya too. So I'm going to come back to your question, Midun. But I'm going ahead with Shreya's question, Ravi. From a platform vendor's vantage point, right? I mean, considering that you are working with enterprises not just in Asia Pacific but across the globe, where are APAC and Middle East enterprises lagging versus what's happening in the US? Is that a 1 year gap or a longer gap, or you think that APAC enterprises are running alongside the US enterprises? What do you see in the market?
Yeah, so in my opinion, I don't think there is a significant gap in terms of the regions. I think if I broadly look at it, where you see digital native companies, the adoption is much faster because they themselves consider as tech companies. When it comes to enterprises, some of the early adopters that we see are significantly trying to do in the back office and not so much on the front office, because in the back office, the the productivity improvement and the cost savings is something that you can clearly see. And then it's also, in my opinion, probably a less risky area than trying something in the front office, customer service, commerce, shopping. I mean, those are the ones which are probably a little more risk, which have a direct impact on the revenue, versus back office, which is more the cost. So in my opinion, it is, and those are the areas that they're looking. If I have to really pinpoint between the markets, in some of the large enterprises in probably Northam are probably gone beyond the POCs, and then, in my opinion, have seen agents already live, versus APAC probably still trying to do just the POCs and maybe few agents, which is back office. So that's how I will probably summarize.
Thank you, Ravi. Very valid input. Sujit, what do you see as the foundational AI capability? You're hiring engineers day in and day out, right? So what do you think is the foundational AI capability for entry-level graduate or someone who's a mid-career developer?
Thanks, Sriram. Delighted to be here. So, Sriram, if you look at it, we all are at entry level of AI world, right? We all are learning. Okay. What is most important in this journey is that adaptability to learn, to unlearn, and to learn, to relearn. Okay, that's something which is very important. Uh, if you look at it, I graduated 20 years before, I studied management. Okay, today working in IT industry. Okay, and doing pretty fine, like all of you. Right? So what today, if you look at it, academic and skilling, okay, in organizations are preparing us to face uncertainty. How how to use common sense, how to
Correct.
use human intelligence, how to use natural intelligence beyond your to supersede AI, right?
Correct.
If you look at in past, we have survived, we have thrived many disruptive technologies.
Mhm.
If you look at uh, post Y2K, pre Y2K, post COVID, pre COVID, okay, the technologies have completely changed,
Mhm.
transformed, okay, and distracted, and new things are created, right? It is something which what stayed is that human intelligence, okay, which
Mhm.
which came with overcoming this, creating, recreating, is something which we are doing. I think what is very important is that we all need to prepare ourselves at any level. It doesn't mean entry or executive level. Every level, we need to start adapt, be adaptable, prepare to learn, and prepare to do start looking at how can we skill ourselves, how can we so I think employers or the institutes to start looking at how can we skill and reskill, and how can we prepare our future employees or students to think how can we always be adaptable to learn, right? Now I want
Fantastic.
to say something. We all
Mhm.
should know four things which is very important in this AI journey. This is what I think. Okay, what will get disrupted in AI,
Mhm.
what will get enhanced in AI, what will be the
Mhm.
net new addition which is created by AI. Okay, and the most important is that what will remain human only. Okay, there's something
Mhm.
every individual, I think. See, because I come from a fulfillment engine, I think we all should stop worrying about will AI take the job off, will AI replace human. I think we should stop thinking about it, and we should always think about this thing that what is that we can get out of AI, and how can we use AI to the best. So I think we all should analyze these 4 points, which I was saying that, okay, this is something which is important. I want to end with a small example on this, Sriram. See, while you will be seeing very soon, you will find people or organization or people announcing saying that software developer or software engineer roles are going to go away. Okay, the fact is that the software engineer or developer roles are not going to go away. Okay, they will start learning um, they'll be start learning prompt engineering. Okay, they will start doing how to work with multiple agentic AIs. Okay, and their role will transform to, okay, their role will transform to an orchestrator of multiple agents. Okay,
Correct.
and that will help them to create faster delivery, learn new technologies. It can be anything which can be open cloud. It keeps coming, right? You keep getting a lot of tools, but people will start learning and playing with those tools. Okay, I think this is something which you're going to see as a major thing, Sriram. And I think that this is something which each and everybody should start adapting to.
Fantastic. So just thank you for bringing in that perspective to actually going back to that lifelong learning, continuous learning, being agile and adaptable, in being open to things is a different as a definite AI capability, foundational capability that all of us should have. In fact, very interestingly, right, one of the companies in UAE recently put out a job posts on LinkedIn, and they were hiring for financial intelligence agent, human capital intelligence agent, legal intelligence agent. And I would be happy to share with you the screenshot. They were actually publishing for agents. So they were not hiring people. They wanted to hire agents, and people who have developed that agent have to come for the interview and showcase the
Mhm.
agent that they have developed. So things are really changing, Sujit. Sujit has an interesting question and from Shreya, and this is exactly what you and Rajiv were talking about before we started the session. Are you seeing internal mobility, which is reskill and redeploy, actually work at scale? Or is external hiring the only lever that companies are facing? So, what's the answer, Sujit? Because you are handling fulfillment, internal and
Correct.
external, you are the best person to
Yeah.
handle this.
So, Sriram, if you look at it, okay, I come from Wipro, right? Wipro holds two, 230,000 employees. Okay,
Mhm.
in 66 countries spread across, right? We are servicing more than 1,500 customers across the world. In every corner, you can find a Wipro customer there, right? Now,
Correct.
if you look at it, 230,000 employees is vast, okay, and technology are changing. So we cannot, uh, I heard a panelist saying that we cannot replace everybody, we cannot fire everybody and rehire new people, right? So,
Correct.
so I think that working with a large organization, what I've understood is that skilling is at most important in in a company. Okay, in that we need to invest on efficiently to build a no, skilling engine, which is very important. We need to have a workforce, okay, which should be ready to unlearn, learn, relearn, fail, okay, and forget quickly to recreate the learning cycle. So, which is very important. So, I think the hiring is not an option. Okay, in today's world, everything is changing. If you hire, you are adding up the cost. What can help you is that recreate the skill what you have, re-engineer them. You need to invest on how to reskill them. Just to add on one more point, if you look at it, Wipro has invested $1 billion into skilling and into AI, right? Which is something very, very huge money into it. Okay, and if you look at it today, we have specialized training for all 238,000 employees. We have done a Gen 1, Gen 2. Now we are doing Wings and Vegas for our customers, which is around 230 employees, 1,000 employees, spending 3 to 4 hours per training, which is a cost to the company. Still, they're spending it. They're spending huge money into it, right? So I think it's very important to retain in talent and keep reskilling it till they say that okay, I cannot reskill, I'm retiring. Okay, till that we need to do that.
Fantastic, Sujit. Absolutely. Skilling is the key aspect. So, in fact, that it is a perfect segue to the next question that I'm going to throw at Anmol, right? So, one of the most commonly seen roles that we are seeing is the forward deployment engineers. Palantir was really one of the earliest in this, essentially, to come up with such a role where these roles are essentially embedded in the business. They know the domain, they know the functional aspects of data and tech. They are able to bring in the knowledge of both of these to solve the customer clients, right? I mean, one of the roles that we are seeing in HR that is emerging is algorithm bias auditor. If there are going to be a lot of chatbots, agents, and algorithms in the HR ecosystem, you need to know about the human resource process, but also you need to ensure that the agents and the algorithms are not biased, and that the context and the constraints that are being trained, that the models are being trained, are unbiased, so on and so forth. So multiple roles being talked about, and I want to ask Anmol, what do you think are the HR? Not HR. What do you think are the roles that are coming up in IT beyond just forward deployment engineers?
No, excellent point, Shriram. And I really appreciate all the comments made by the panelists so far. I think it's all stitching together and quite resonating with what we are hearing in the market. From a forward deployment deployed engineers, yes, Palantir might have pioneered it, but I think that has become a mainstream now. And two more roles that have got tagged to forward deployed engineers is the AI strategist. And those AI strategists are people who are actually looking at from a broad industry lens, people who come from very deep, not just domain, but they understand the overall industry aspect and have yes, full control or understanding of the balance sheet within that industry. So people who understand cost to income ratio in a banking context, claims rejection rate, fraud rate, etc. In and leakage and insurance. Who understand the ARPU, etc. in a telco, and what are the levers that move, so they are able to decide that strategy, and then the forward deployed engineers could come in to play a role of plugging that gap by bringing business and technology together. The other set of role, which is obviously emerging, is the AI governance, which I think you talked about in your the whatever algorithm buyer, auditors, etc. Whatever title you're giving. But I think that whole stream and faculty around AI governance is actually becoming quite mainstream, because as the models get more sophisticated, they are black box. There's competition. The explainability aspect of decisions made by models, especially within the agentic framework, is extremely critical. And there was a question also around it. So that's very, very important. So those roles are also emerging. We talked about democratization of technology, right? At the end of the day, the delta between tool A or model A and model B is not very high. Now, of course, one could be more sophisticated, could be trained on 2 trillion parameters, and one could be trained on 1.5, 1.6. But the fact remains that the real delta between two models after a while is not that big. It is the ability for the entire AI stack to orchestrate, to understand, to have the memory, to contextualize, to do the harness engineering. So those roles are leading to AI product managers, which are people who understand business workflows and understand how to redesign, reimagine processes in the AI native world. The workflow architects, that is another stream we are seeing. Then operations engineer or AI ops specialists, right? One of the biggest area that while we may say the cost is going down and everything, the token consumption is going up. So when
Mm.
the token consumption goes up, somebody has to look at what is the optimization of tokens that needs to happen for a particular business case and so on. There's a lot of observability aspect that comes with it. So there is an AI ops, FinOps extension within AI world is extremely, extremely important. I don't think people are really realizing the cost that is going into tokens today, and how do we manage it. We talked about prompt engineers or people who can do prompt optimization also. Because it could be, they could call them context engineers, prompt engineers, but it is basically how do you structure the enterprise knowledge so that you have the prompt library created, you have a better retrieval layer. How do you make that more contextual? um, Human in the loop, or the processes are still designed to function a human. So I think that human aspect or human designer, that aspect should also not be lost. I think those are also roles which are not emerging. These are not new roles. These are redefinition of existing roles
Correct.
that have come. I think those are primarily the roles that are, I think, yes. And then of course, the HR role that is changing, the talent part, right? We spoke about talent so much. So there have to be people who are defining the career streams in the world of AI, right? To the talent enabled. We have in Infosys, just like Wipro, we are also going through our own learning pathways for our people and defining that. I think those are some of the roles. There are model engineers also, data also that are needed. Model engineers, because you need to fine tune the model. If you have to create a domain centric SLMs, etc., people should have a basic understanding of the models and create those.
Correct.
All enterprises are building AI platforms. So you understanding that platform layer also is extremely important. Now they could come within the what I called it earlier AI product managers or AI strategists. We can define what title they play, but those roles, those jobs are extremely important. So I think whoever believes that jobs will disappear, it's not happening. There are a lot of more jobs will be created. They will be redefined. And yes, it will be a human plus agent or human plus machine, human plus bot, human plus model, whatever terminology works best is the future, is the present
Fantastic.
actually. Hmm?
Thanks, Anmol. Thanks. Rajiv, your thoughts.
Sorry, sorry about it. Yeah, I think Anmol covered in detail, the kind of roles that are emerging. Um, See, I look at it more from an HR perspective and from a people perspective, right? While on the business side, whatever that he spoke about, AI strategists, AI engineers, the governance person, etc. See, from an HR standpoint, one of the big challenges that we definitely will have, which we're seeing at this point in time, is that how do we get people to coexist with bots,
Correct.
right? Because they're going to be
Right.
your co-employee, working alongside you, and therefore, how are you going to, work together? And therefore, from an HR perspective, in terms of how do you manage that, is going to be extremely important. See, what I'm seeing at this point in time is, and especially when you see from, again, from a human angle, right? Earlier, it was, we were moving from an economy of convenience. When I talk about economy of convenience, you just have an app, you can buy anything, you can go do whatever you want, right? Book a ticket, get anything that you want. So there was an economy. If you look at any of those travel apps to your, health apps to whatnot. So it was an economy of convenience. Today, what's happening is that we're moving into an economy of isolation. Now, if you really see it as a human being, the feed that is coming in is basically you're getting isolated based on your taste and preferences, and it is not basic everything that is getting covered. It's based on your preferences and what you see, right? So you're getting, the individuals are getting a lot more isolated in terms of what is reality versus what actually is, just out there influencing, right? People getting influenced. Therefore, the role of a HR person will become extremely important here, right? How do you get people to actually understand what the reality is, and how do we help them, and how do we ensure that we're able to provide them with meaningful careers, right? Because careers, again, the way we are looking at it, it is going to get redefined. I mean, people had a very structured career path, right? If you're a domain expert, this is how you will grow. If you're a software engineer, this is how you'll grow. You can move laterally, you can move horizontally. All that is a part of your career architecture. Today, that's getting redefined, right? The whole thing can be a zigzag way of going, right? You probably will have to take up something that you don't know, but it obviously will get help from the from support from the use of AI. So the point that I'm making is HR roles are going to get extremely important, right? And therefore, being sensitive, being, in terms of having that right equilibrium in terms of emotion and the whole of things, very, very important role. So those kind of roles will play, in my mind, I think that's going to play a very significant role as we go forward.
Fantastic inputs, Rajiv. In fact, you took the points out of my next couple of slides. So essentially, this is IHRP Singapore's model of how jobs have to be redesigned, and essentially, if you are in tech services industry and if you are part of the HR function, I think all of us need to be focused on how do we redesign the jobs. So as Rajiv highlighted, as Anmol also highlighted, one of the key things is this. This is how you redesign a job, right? You break down a job into multiple tasks. See, first step is fully human. And then second step is human-led machine assisted. The third step is human-machine collaboration. Fourth step is how AI-led machine assisted. So there is human in the loop throughout the journey. But the human role could be more of overseeing or could be actually taking the decisions. So human-led machine assisted, or is it human-machine collaboration, or is it machine-led human assisted? This is what every one of the panelists is saying. Human in the loop is going to be very, very essential. And in every task within that particular role, it could really, really change. Now, which leads us to the final question that I really want to ask all of the panelists today, right? And we will start off with Ravi and Sujit, right? Ravi, the question to you is this. At this point of time, there is a lot of talk on the entry-level hiring aspects, right? Now, the question to you is, I saw an ad recently for an entry-level hire, and the company said that we need entry-level hires with 2 to 3 years AI experience. Okay, so how do entry-level candidates get 2 3 years of AI experience? What do you think is essentially happening to the talent pyramid? I know we would talk about the pyramid being the shape of the organization 15 to 20 years back. Wanted your perspectives. How is the pyramid? How is the talent pyramid? Is it becoming a diamond shaped? What is happening? And something more specific on entry level hiring, Ravi.
Sure. I think, in my opinion, I think this is probably, obviously it's a very sensitive topic as well. And in my opinion, not all organizations are being very honest about how this is changing. I think the traditional entry level people, when they were hired before, or for writing boilerplate code, manual testing, data entry, and those kind of things, right? Which is all getting replaced with AI. it's probably a degree of change. Some may do 50% versus 75%. In Google, as of now, what we use for internal product development, close to 70 to 75% is still AI generated. Now, on the talent pyramid, obviously we see a compression of the talent pyramid. The organizations will obviously feel that they can deliver more with fewer people at the base. But while it sounds like efficiency, but it creates a dangerous pipeline problem, right? If they don't
That's right.
if they don't do it today, where will the future leaders come from? I think for those companies who want to look at more forward thinking, the redefining of the entry level, and then it goes back to your question about an entry level with 2-3 years of experience.
Hmm.
I think it is more about the AI supervised work, the experience of actually understanding what comes out of AI versus actually can somebody used in AI to generate a code, right? So now it is no more the actual task of what AI can do, but how do you now the junior roles will actually spend more time on reviewing the output, flagging the errors, looking at the edge cases, and asking the right questions, right? Because we all know the AI models can generate what you need, but it all depends on how you are doing it. So I think those are, um, in my opinion, the profiles are completely changing to be a highly cognitive profiles compared to somebody who is very good at coding. And
Mm.
the hiring philosophy, I think, is also changing, in my opinion, right? Now, companies will start, in my opinion, will start valuing adaptability, critical thinking far more than technical skills, because the tools will keep changing. They will obviously become better. You probably won't know everything, but then your mindset of your adaptability and critical thinking stays. So I'm thinking in the way that they actually hire the entry level, the tests or whatever they do is probably focuses more on those adaptability, critical thinking, curiosity, rather than actually having somebody's skills on how good they are with coding skills. So that's how I would
Okay.
think that the things will change. And your 2-3 years experience analogies about somebody, can they actually do they know how to use these rather
That's
than actually building or using AI?
perfect. So knowledge, application knowledge becomes very critical. Thanks, Ravi. So Sujit, we have questions from Sanika, Mohit, Midun that I want to respond to. So your brief response on this aspect on entry
See,
level
I
hiring.
don't know. Yeah. I don't know the future of work will be. It will be in a cone shape or hat shape or diamond shape. So people are having too many visualization, right? But somewhere, most of the forums say that it will be a diamond shape, wherein you will not have, will have very lesser roles for entry level jobs. Okay, and you will have more of AI agents doing the bottom roles, and then you will have a commander who will start commanding and who will put the managerial roles, and then you will have a CISO roles. So these are something which is there, which will come when it comes. You will see. But what I think what is important from a fulfillment side and from a HR side is that the people should start having certain mindset change. I think
Mm,
three important, which is important for entry level people, is that they need to start having a right mindset, a right skill set, and a right tool set. These are three things which I think we should really start looking at it. Just I will take one more minute. For mindset, what I mean by mindset is that it's AI first mindset, AI driven mindset, okay, or a mindset to learn, relearn, again
mm,
unlearn, and again fail, and again relearn. Okay, skill set. Today, if you look at skills are actually vanishing on a drastic speed, right? Uh, uh, Today, if you look at it in every forums, okay, even in the economic forum, it was mentioned that today skills are not relevant. What is relevant today is not relevant tomorrow. For example, an engineer who takes a skill on the first year is no more relevant in the final year. What is important is that the base what he studies, okay, and how he's able to develop it in for the future run. Okay, tool set. Again, coming to the tool set, today we have a terrific tool partners, right? Google, Amazon, AWS, or Microsoft. Every day you can cloud AI, cloud open AI. Every day there's a skill which gets good. But what is important is that I think an institute, which might be a college or an organization, should start getting these tools to the employees, and employees should start playing with these tools. Okay, should start playing with these tools to develop their knowledge and skill and get the right optimal solution and start thinking. Okay, they should start investing on thinking and all. So this is, I think, this is more important. Where it will reach, which shape, we can think about later. I think what should be done is more important. Yeah, sure.
Fantastic mindset, skill set, tool set. Sujit, that was a great way to sum up that question. We have audience questions, so I'm going to pop it up to each one of you. 30 seconds max to respond to each one of these questions. Anmol, I come to you. Question from Midun on IT governance. Is the AI transforming IT governance beyond automation, particularly in areas like ownership, compliance, auditability, and operational decision making?
The answer is it will. It is not today because you have to understand that when you say governance, you are being an observer, you're not an interferer. So when you are observer, you are actually just doing automation to help controls work faster, better, but you don't own and you make sure that the compliance happens, but you're still an observer, right? Auditability comes next, and at this stage, auditability is more human driven. Eventually it will all get there. And then as far as your what is the last point,
Uh,
decision making, I think this is, see, when you do governance, you're doing post facto. Decision making has happened and you are observing on what basis was this decision made, and can you justify the outcome whether or not it was favorable to the user, right? So decision making within audit, within risk is more explainability, and which is where AI is used.
Fantastic. Thank you. Rajiv, the question to you is this: skills, AI skills are changing every 18 months, right? Should you be hiring for skills, or do you go back to the traditional aspect of hire them for potential and then upskill them? Rajiv, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, Rajiv.
So let me just the way I look at it is you're hiring for proficiency and nothing more than that. So
Okay.
you, as somebody who's got 20 years of experience and is not proficient and relevant in the AI world, is still a fresher, right?
Okay.
So somebody who is just out of college has immense knowledge, working knowledge on any of these tools, is as proficient as somebody who's got, let's say, 15 years of experience in the real sense of the word. So
Fantastic.
it is more about the proficiency and not on just I possess a skill set doesn't mean anything to me at this point in time. It's on the proficiency.
Fantastic. Great answer. Ravi, I'm going to throw this question to you. I don't want to ask the services folks on this. The question is with Anthropic and OpenAI actively getting into the IT services space, right, with their own consulting arms. I mean, what's your quick 30-second take on that?
See, I think that clearly shows there is a big demand on the consulting side, right? So even with the full AI coming, whether it is setting up of the AI COE, doing the AI governance, I think we talked about somebody understanding the business logic, having industry knowledge. All of that comes from a consulting world, okay? Because all these firms will actually create these models to use, but how do you use in the context of the customer actually comes from the consulting world. And you can imagine the product companies like Anthropic and OpenAI actually creating these clearly says that the demand for those still stays because the industry still lies with the consulting firms.
Perfect. Great response, Ravi. Final question, Sujit. Right? Shreya is asking this question. If there is an AI skill, how do you know it's a fad or it's here to stay? How do you know if it's going to be here or it will disappear in 12 months? What is the filter? How can people assess that?
See, to be honest with them, if I was knowing this answer, today I would have been a billionaire. I invested all the money into it and I would have got all it returned. It's very difficult to know it. I think what we should know is that it's fad or it is going to stay, which future will say. You should invest on it and do. And if you should actually evaluate, is your role getting the benefit of it or not? any role it can be. It can be a security guard to a HR head to a anybody. What we should look at is it going to serve a purpose to you? Then invest to it and go with it. This is what I can say here. So,
Fantastic. It's 2 o'clock in Dubai right now, 3:30 in India, 6 o'clock in Singapore, and 3 a.m. for Anmol. It was wonderful hosting all of you on this webinar. We're going to record this, use AI to summarize and share it to all the participants and to the world. It's been a pleasure talking to all of you. Thank you once again, Anmol, Rajiv, Ravi, and Sujit, for sharing your perspectives. Next 12 to 18 months is definitely going to be interesting, and we will definitely keep tapping into your expertise to see how the world is progressing in the age of AI. Thank you again to the hundreds of participants who have joined us from different parts of the world. We look forward to hosting you on the next episode of Tech Studio series very soon. Thank you again. Good afternoon, good evening, and
Thank
good.
you very much, Sriram, for hosting this, and thank you to all the other panelists. I got to learn a lot as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you to all.
Thank you.